welcome to the Friday recovery run, experimenting with the GoPro Hero 3 Silver Edition, kindly loaned from Pete Harris of Halo, Humberside and Lincolnshire Orienteers. Chosen a reasonably nice run to experiment with, a recovery run, in total about 6k, half an hour with a reasonable amount of climb, mostly off-road. Just crossing the beck now, which can be quite slippery when it's been wet, and then we've got the first climb up to Little Wold Plantation. Unfortunately we had a lot of rain yesterday, which means that this will be a bit of a slippery mess, both up and down. I haven't recorded the first half mile of the run, about 800 metres, as all it entails is running out along Beverley Road, main road out of South Cave, all along grass verges, so nothing much interesting to see. Of course, I really don't know what kind of footage you're getting here either, but I'm very curious to see what the sound quality will be like, what the video quality will be like, and of course, depending on how well or badly I've angled the camera, whether we actually get any meaningful footage. The ultimate idea being to either shadow to create footage for video, specifically for sprint and urban orienteering, and secondly, if I can manage to figure out how to transfer the footage to sync in with a different decent map image, then combining it, as quite a few people do on YouTube, would be a very good analysis tool. So we're off to the slippery climb, and now it's a reasonable drag up towards the top of Little Wold Plantation. Not too bad underfoot, it does dry out very quickly, being primarily on top of chalk. As you can probably see, hopefully, this time of year the woods are in incredibly good condition. This is the more gentle side of the road, the north side. Over to the south side tends to be a bit more hilly, going up towards Mount Airy Farm and then taking in the dales around Ellerton and Brantingham. I don't really see a lot of people on the run, occasional dog walkers. I can't imagine that we'll be that lucky today, but very recently we've had a buzzard frequenting the woods round about this spot actually. First seen by Charlotte a few weeks ago, and then I managed to catch a decent view of it sometime last week, I believe it was. Plenty of squirrels about at the moment, and again, highly unlikely, but very, very occasionally you'll get deer in here. Nearing the top of the climb now. Ordinarily, on a longer run, we'd carry straight on, turning right at the top, dropping down to Weedley Springs via Coomerdale and the old railway. But for now, we're going to turn left and we'll start to descend slightly through the woods to what we call the bomb hole, which in forest orienteering terms would be a reasonable sized depression. But whether you actually manage to pick that out from the camera remains to be seen. However, we will be passing it at least a couple of times. As I said, you don't really get that many dog walkers, but the odd few. I'm not sure if you can see the track in front of me, but you do get a few mountain bikers, and just to the right here is the old quarry, which does attract a fair amount of what is supposedly illegal scrambling on motorbikes. Luckily, they tend to stick to the quarry, although they have been known to come into Little Wold, but fortunately not too often. We're now getting towards the bomb hole, and where we're going to turn right and head out along a finger of wood, which again is fairly nice on, if you were a mountain biker, what you would call single track. Just adding in a bit of extra distance. I don't know if you can hear the wind there. Predominantly westerlies, and now being on the western edge of the wood, you do tend to catch it quite a bit. It has brightened up a little bit now. This morning it was very nice, then it dulled in sort of just after dinner, and it was looking a bit disappointing, but it just seems to have picked up a little bit again now. It's just after 3 o'clock. And this is probably my favourite short stroke recovery run. Said previously, in total, including the run up from Marketplace in South Cape, which is the start and finish, to where I started the recording, it's about half a mile. Indeed, the bridge that we crossed just after I turned the camera on is almost spot on a kilometre from the start. So again, obviously it's about a kilometre back to the finish from there, but I intend to stop recording just as we reach Beverley Road again. Nothing very interesting there. A little bit slippy along here, nothing too bad. Again, it's only recovery run pace, so all's good. We're now at the end of the woods, Quarry Road out to our left, and we've got a sharp little climb up towards the quarry. Not sure if the camera will pick them out, but man-made mountain bike jumps, just as extra obstacles. and straight ahead you'd be into the quarry, but we don't go there. Now basically we're running south back towards the bomb hole, and probably less than 100 metres in that direction was the path that we just ran along the western edge of Little Wold Plantation. It's only a very small area, but again it makes an excellent relaxed pace run terrain where you can break it up a little bit, one or two short sharp climbs, one of which we leave for the end of the run. But just to extend this loop adds on about 1 kilometre in total. When we reach the end of this path, we loop back again along the western edge of Little Wold Plantation, up the sharp slope where the mountain bike jumps are, and then back along here again, but instead of turning right we turn left to rejoin the original loop before making our bid for home. Again, some really nice forest around here. Just a shame it's not a bit bigger. I don't even think you'd bother mapping for a small training event. There aren't a lot of features within the wood. A few rootstocks, some of which have degenerated into small knolls, like so. Hopefully you saw that. I've got to admit, using the camera and commentating, the run just seems to go in no time at all. I can feel a little tightness in the hamstrings. And there again, last night we had the Lincoln Orienteering Group night cup score event on a newly mapped urban area to ISSOM standards, produced by Paul Murgatroyd. 1 to 5,000 A3 map. Right at the very north end of Lincoln City, with what I'm told is the prospect of doubling that map size to the east of the road that ran north-south along the area. Really quite a nice bit of urban terrain, although we did have a slight disagreement about the mapping of some walls as light grey, when in fact I don't think you could possibly cross them unless you were well into parkour, as they were about 8 feet tall. Yes, they maybe are, you maybe are allowed to cross them, but I think there's a limit to what you should and shouldn't allow. Conversely, it was a nice little leg to a wall that was not to be crossed, by a block of flats, obviously on the wrong side, but the wall was 4 foot high, conservative estimate. So to anyone who got there, peeped over the wall and saw the flag, it wouldn't have been too much of a bother to nip over that wall, which was marked as not to be crossed. And I've got to be honest, I really don't know why that was, other than it made people who read the map and read the descriptions actually navigate to the feature, or where the flag was on the feature. But nonetheless, another excellent urban area opens up, and another mostly excellent ISSOM orienteering map makes its debut. That's what we like. That's the great thing about some of the local orienteers. They tend to be quite keen on urban events, and so we do get some very good local ISSOM maps. Granted, once you've run on them once or twice, they probably lose their technical challenge, but utilising them in things like the log night score cup, which again was really excellent. It's a mass start event, so that all adds to the fun and the pressure, if you like. And my own orienteering club, Halo, Humberside and Lincolnshire Orienteers, also run a night score league, usually based from a pub. So you've got decent changes and the chance of a meal afterwards. All on ISSOM maps, all with SI punching, and at a very reasonable cost. Latent plug, just go to the website halo-orienteering.org.uk. Oh, we've seen a bit of wildlife at last. Not sure whether he picked that up. Blackbird crossing in front of us. Looks like the chance of spotting buzzard or deer are diminishing rapidly now as we come to the top of the woods again. Same path in reverse as the initial descent when we turned sharp left off the path that skirts along the southern edge of Little Wold Plantation. Heavy breathing there. So we're just about to make a sharp right, drop a couple of 100 metres maybe, and then just to make it interesting, spice it up a bit, there's a short sharp hill which takes you back onto the path we've just run down. Just gets the arms pumping a bit and gets the heart pumping a bit quicker as well. Even though it's a recovery run, it's good to break things up a little bit. So off to the right there again, you may just catch sight of the River Humber. It's only a few miles away to the south. Again, I'm not sure about angles on the head cam, but if we manage to persuade somebody to buy me one for a birthday, then I'll be able to sort all these teething problems out. Here's the little sprintable. Not sprinting it today. I'm usually having to chase, nearly always unsuccessfully, the coattails of a young, fast W21 who is not only pretty proficient at urban and sprint, but is now also showing a little bit of aptitude for forest. Although I'm sure, like myself, that's just for fun. Approaching the bomb hole now, before the final turn for home. I'm hoping the footage is alright. It'd be a shame if it wasn't, but you got to live and learn. I can hear the wind whistling through the woods. I'm guessing it's going to be picked up on the camera as well. So we're making a sharp left here. Don't normally do this, but we just have a run through the bomb hole. Ooh, there we go. Up and out. Back onto the path. And then very shortly we'll be leaving Little Wold and gingerly proceeding down the steep climb, which is obviously now a descent, and it was very greasy, but again, with it being open and south facing, it does tend to get quite a bit of sun if it's shining, and it does tend to pick up the wind as well, which really helps to dry it out. And generally within a day or so, even after some pretty nasty weather, the tracks in Little Wold tend to dry out very quickly. There's South Cave and the Humber. And we're now on, or we have been on, parts of the Wells Way long distance footpath as we descend back down into South Cave. Up ahead is Mount Airy, and if you can see the horse in the field and the little track to the right going up through copse is rightly named Steep Hill. It's quite a task to maintain any sort of speed up there. But again, if you're out for a bit of a challenge, it's a good run for strength and stamina. Right. So we're onto the bridge again, and with about a kilometre to go, we'll just run the camera to the end of the track until we meet Beverley Road, and then we'll call it a day footage wise. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this turns out, and I can imagine that I'm going to be exceptionally disappointed if the commentary is rubbish, which is my own fault. The footage isn't clear, which could be the camera's fault, or you just don't see anything because the angle's all wrong, which is basically my fault. So signing off now. Thanks for watching and listening.